Hi, everybody. Welcome. Happy Monday, April 7th. We'll get the meeting started at
7:01.
No,
7:01.
7:01. There's different times everywhere.
Very different times.
Different times in there. 7:01. Virtual standard 7:01. Roll call, please.
President Valerie Reinthaler.
Here.
Vice President Andrea DiTillo.
Here.
Councilmember Matt Castiglia.
Present.
Councilmember Deb Cassini Klein.
Here.
Councilmember Greg Pajanovich.
Happy.
Councilmember Shirley Blair Fuller is online.
Here.
Here.
Councilmember Brooke Williams is not present.
All right, and we'll start with public comment. If you're a Churchill Borough resident or taxpayers, you have 3 minutes to speak. Please raise your virtual hand since we do not have any people in person today. And like I said before, please state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. And we have how many people are on the council?
10.
10. Wow.
There's names.
Yeah, she just did.
Sit down.
So I guess we do something.
Okay. If we don't have any hands raised, we'll give another 10 seconds. If you're interested in doing a public comment, please raise your virtual hand and we will promote you to panel. So you can speak. All right, closing public comment. And we have, before we go into the rest of our agenda, we do have a public speaker today. And we'll have them speak now. Do an intro. For them.
Yeah, she did. So we have Amber Snavely. Neil as well. Amber, is Neil talking with you as well? Can you hear us?
Amber, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you.
All right.
There we go. We can hear you now. Can you-
Okay, great. I apologize. Always technology problems. Yes, so my name is Amber Snavely. I'm with Water and Land Solutions. My colleague should be joining us, Nate Over. I don't know if he's on yet. He might be having the same issue. I don't know. I'm gonna assume he's not quite yet, but that's okay. So essentially what we are trying to do is we need to talk to the Churchill Borough about a project that we're doing on Allegheny Land Trust property where we're creating a stream and wetland restoration site. It's a mitigation bank, and there is a stormwater easement owned by Churchill Borough that runs across the property, and we would like to daylight that stormwater sewer or stormwater system and establish a new channel that will lead down to the main channel and place that under conservation, a portion of it under conservation easement to be protected in perpetuity. And essentially that's like a overall watershed improvement project is really what we're aiming for. I don't know if if you want me to kind of go into the background based on that PowerPoint I gave you, or if you had any specific thoughts on how you wanted me to approach this, Michelle.
Your colleague Nate Over is on and we're promoting him to panelist so he's able to speak, but I don't know if he's been clicking the acceptance button. There it is. Okay.
Sorry about that.
We got you now.
There you go. Sorry.
No problem at all.
Technology's always finicky, it's all right.
All right. We can see
Got
you
it.
both too. Wonderful.
Deal. Well, thanks for having us. Sounded like I caught a little bit of Amber's introduction there.
Yep.
All right. Okay, great. Well, I know Amber's got a PowerPoint and can get into the details, but I'll just quickly mirror kind of what Amber was saying. This is a watershed improvement project that I've been working on for over 2 years now. It was when Allegheny Land Trust acquired the Churchill Valley Greenway. We went into an agreement with the land trust there to do a restoration project on the property and pretty much maximize all the aquatic resources on the property in order to make the water cleaner, better, environment better, everything going downstream. It's a pretty much kind of an all-around ecological project. And we are looking to daylight a stream that you all currently have in a pipe, in a sewer easement. And that daylighting project will then also help to clean up the water going downstream, provide some habitat for aquatic resources, although this is a very small kind of intermittent / ephemeral trib. But historically, it was there before everything was put into the pipe. So I think it's a good all-around project for us and reduce the liability for the borough as well. So I'll hand it over to Amber.
Yeah, Michelle,
Thank
did you? Sorry, go ahead. I heard somebody.
Oh, thank you. I was just saying thank you for that introduction, Nate.
For sure.
Sorry, Amber, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna ask you if that was the intention for me to share that PowerPoint here, or if that was
Yeah, if you
separate.
could, that would be perfect, thank you.
All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So Michelle asked me and Nate to kind of put this PowerPoint together to just kind of explain who we are, what we do, what we're proposing, the mitigation bank, its benefits, what we are looking to do with Churchill Borough specifically. So essentially what I wanted to do is kind of give you a little bit of a background about WLS, our company, and then kind of transition that into the proposed mitigation bank that we have on the Allegheny Land Trust property. So with that, WLS we are a private company. We were founded in 2014. We started in the Carolinas, specifically North Carolina. You can kind of see, now this is kind of an old figure, and I'll explain why here shortly, but you can see kind of the prevalence of projects, these little red dots that are kind of clustered in the Carolinas, Georgia, and then you can kind of see a handful in our tri-state region up here. So some of the solutions or services that we provide, and the big one is mitigation banks. We do a lot of stream and wetland mitigation banking, and what these are ecological offset projects. So anytime somebody impacts a stream or wetland within a watershed, they have to offset that impact. So they come to a company like us, and we help them meet that offset. We also do nutrient and sediment reduction projects, species habitat projects. Some of the other solutions we provide are permitting responsible mitigation projects, full delivery projects where we just take it from inception to all the way to the end, and we kind of do all the work for them as part of their permitting process. A lot of these permits come in from, or these mitigation needs come in from folks or clients like PennDOTs, your turnpike, municipal public works is one, oil and gas, heavy industry, manufacturing, coal mining, industries like that typically come to us with large needs and mitigation, and we help those meet those needs. As of right now, we have 92 projects across the nation. We have banks with credits in 11 states. We have over 19,000 acres of land, either in conservation or close to being in conservation. We've planted over 14 million trees. We've had nutrient reductions above 250 tons. We've had 15,700 tons of carbon sequestered. We've restored over 26,000 wetland acres and over 1.3 million linear feet of stream throughout all of our projects nationwide. So we've been busy. At the beginning of, or at the end of 2024, we had 37 projects in permitting. The Churchill project is one of those. We had 8 in construction and 42 in monitoring, which just means that the site has been established, it's constructed, we have credits selling from it, and now we're just maintaining and monitoring it to make sure that the site is performing as it's supposed to. So as far as the tri-state region, just give you a little bit of bigger picture of locally, regionally, our projects. You can kind of see there's a handful in West Virginia. We have a bunch in Ohio, and there's more in Pennsylvania that's not shown. It's central eastern PA, but I kind of kept this map more centrally located, more relevant, I thought. And you can see Churchill is kind of in the center there of the southwest region of Pennsylvania. So these projects in blue are approved by the Corps, generally approved by the state. A couple are not yet. Like Churchill is not. We don't have state authorization for that one yet. We're still waiting on that. The ones in orange, they aren't listed, but they are shown on the map, are ones that have just entered the permitting process. So just to give you a little bit of background about what a mitigation bank is, really it's meant to be like a large scale site where we restore, enhance, and reestablish aquatic resources, so streams and wetlands. And the goal is to meet the no net loss policy. And I don't know, I don't want to get into a policy discussion, but it is a federal policy that we don't reduce the nation's wetlands and streams, waterways, and promote clean waters. So what happens is we as the sponsor, we are known as a sponsor because we are establishing the bank. We kind of come up with this agreement, which is we call a banking instrument. It is with the federal and state agencies that basically says we're going to establish this mitigation bank. Here's how we're going to do it, why we're doing it, and here's how we're going to maintain and monitor it so that it is protected and it performs in perpetuity. So what a mitigation bank does once it's established is it establishes these stream and wetland credits that are used to offset unavoidable stream and wetland impacts occurring within a watershed. In this case, we're looking at watershed 19 or 18. There's certain watersheds in Pennsylvania, but it's generally Westmoreland County, Allegheny County, kind of that region locally for you guys. Just now I believe I have another map to show you guys. There we go. So essentially, like very, very simply, that's probably a lot of information for you, but essentially, the bank compensates for unavoidable impacts to waters regulated by the United States and by the state. So typically how it works is you have a public or private project that is creating some level of an impact. So we'll take PennDOT, for example. They're putting in a new roadway. They say we are creating 500 linear feet of unavoidable impacts. We need to mitigate for it. The Army Corps, being the regulatory agency, says, okay, we have this mitigation banker over here. They have this bank, contact them. They have credits. The PennDOT will contact us. We'll say, you need how many? Okay, we have them. We can sell them to you. And they purchase them, and then we transfer the credits. Once we transfer a 1 linear foot of stream for credit is equal to like 1 linear foot of stream impact. So once we sell that credit, we can't sell it again. We can't double dip into our resources. So that's kind of the overview on that. So kind of transitioning over to the Churchill Valley Mitigation Bank and how that came to be. Allegheny Land Trust came to WLS after they realized that they had a need for stream restoration to meet their conceptual site master planning process for the Churchill Valley Greenway, because they needed help, I think, doing this large scale project. And Nate, if you're on, and I know you kind of know wealth of this background a little bit better than I do, so feel free to chime in if I miss anything. But essentially, they came to us, they wanted to do this project. We came out, looked at the site, we saw how degraded it was. It's been filled from golf course development, historic agricultural uses. We now have AMD drainage. A lot of the streams are culverted. There's tile drains out there. So it's really kind of suffered ecologically. So we're like, yep, this site is definitely restorable. It needs restored. There's a lot of opportunity for improvement. There's a lot of development happening within the watershed. There's urban housing development. There's a lot of roadways being upgraded or installed, constructed. So we're like, okay, yep, there's a need for stream and wetland credits. So this will work on that level too for us. So between ALT and WLS, we understood that there was this need and there was an opportunity to improve the watershed. So we put an agreement together with ALT to develop the Churchill Valley Mitigation Bank. So some of the goals of the mitigation bank really is we want to restore stream and floodplain processes. So what that means is we want to reconnect the stream with its historic floodplain. That'll help reduce flood and improve stormwater management. It'll help filter abandoned mine drainage and siltation and sedimentation from erosion that's entering the stream and making its way downstream. We're going to improve and protect wildlife and biodiversity. That will include adding substrate into the streams for macroinvertebrate health, adding woody debris into the stream for fish habitat. We're going to help the native vegetation to reestablish, and hopefully, not hopefully, but we are going to control invasives. We'll be required to do that, and that will include controlling the knotweed that's out there. There's a lot of it. And ultimately, the site will be, because we are placing a conservation easement on the property, it will be protected long-term or in perpetuity. So those are the goals of what we have for this, the major goals of the bank from our perspective. So just kind of going back to the site, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the site, but from our eyes, we're always looking at how degraded is the site and what opportunity is there to restore? How do we restore? So when we look at the site, we say, okay, in this picture here in the top here, there's a lot of stream incision, exposed banks. When you have high flashy rain events, that water just beats on that bank and causes excess siltation and sediments that enter the water and just make it way, they pollute it, and just makes it way downstream. And a lot of that was caused, from golf course development, historic ag process or ag uses. Those high flashy flows incise the stream down to bedrock. So you have a lot of exposed bedrock, which isn't really typical for this region to see that. So this is just a continuing process and will continue to degrade over time if it isn't addressed. As I think we mentioned earlier, there's a lot of tile drains out there. I believe the golf course probably installed a lot of tile drains, to which we will remove and allow that water to access the new floodplain. There's also, you guys I'm sure are aware as well, the AMD drainage from the abandoned mine. It is also causing aluminum within the water, and you can kind of see that in the right image, that cloudiness. That's actually just aluminum that's precipitated into the water. So, our goal is to address these impaired streams and improve water quality in doing so. So to give you an idea, kind of aerial perspective, our project, on the left, what we did is we identified all the streams and wetlands within the project site. So you can see on the left, those purple polygons, and there's a couple tiny ones you probably can't see, but there's a couple larger ones you can. There's not many wetlands out there, which means that these channels have been ditched and they've been sized so much that any of that water within that channel is no longer accessing the floodplain. So that new floodplain is important because what it helps to do is filter pollutants out of the water. So all of those pollutants just continue to run downstream. There is no filtration system. So what we're proposing to do is regrade that stream, create a lot more stream channel out there, allow it to access a new floodplain, and that will create a new wetland, which will improve water quality, will help filter out those pollutants and that silt from entering downstream. And it will also help, now I'm sure you're aware there's an AMD treatment facility going in, so those waters will also be treated through our project. Anything that remains that goes through the filtration system will also go through our wetland filters. Essentially, we're going to be increasing stream linear footage by over 2,500 linear feet. And really the big one here is we're creating a lot of wetland. We're proposing over 10 acres of wetland reestablishment, which is a huge improvement. And you can see in that right image, that red polygon throughout the site, that's the new floodplain or wetland footprint that we are proposing on this site. So there's a lot of opportunity to improve the ecological functions at this large site. Just to kind of give you an idea of what will happen, different sites that we've done in the past, what it'll look like as it progresses. You can kind of see up in the left here, a really degraded stream, exposed and sized bank. And you can kind of see over time, below it, 1 year after construction, you can see the natural vegetation starting to come up. 3 years after construction, top right, you can start to see these shrubs and trees coming up. And then 5 years, you can really see how well that site's done and how much it's really developed into a really complex floodplain. This is another site. This was actually in West Virginia at the Tomlinson Run Park. Nate really spearheaded this one, worked with them a lot to take a portion of land out there and restore a lot of the streams on that site. Up in the top left, there's a gabion wall. I think it's a rock gabion wall there that we completely removed. And below that image, you can see we flattened the floodplain. We allowed the stream to access the channel. We planted all new vegetation, native vegetation, trees, herbaceous shrubs, all native. You can kind of see in this middle image here, this channel has created a sandbar in the middle, created 2 different channels. We restored that, created one channel and provided some different aquatic habitat by adding substrate and again planting on the riparian buffer to provide additional shade and protection of the bank. And kind of similar to that right image, you start seeing that incision and a lot of kind of like a sediment bottom on that stream channel. So just going in and addressing those banks and adding some substrate to the stream channel really allowed that channel to kind of come up and naturally revegetate, and added substrate for aquatic habitat. And now you have a nice ecosystem developing here. So this is where kind of like you guys come into the play. There is this diagram here kind of shows that there's one channel out there that is a stormwater stormwater line that flows from a property. I don't know if I can do this. There, here we go. So if you can see my mouse, can you guys see my mouse?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, great. So this channel right here, this is actually, it's a straight line because that's the stormwater, the culverted stormwater that starts up on this property up here, and it enters our proposed conservation easement and enters our project and goes straight down and enters the main channel. So that's the channel that we are talking about here with you guys. Essentially, what we want to do is daylight that. And this will allow that new channel to access the floodplain, so improve water quality. That will involve, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this, or you guys will talk separately. We're happy to answer questions on it, but it'll involve terminating the existing easement. We would design and construct the new outlet just below the boundary between that residential property and our conservation easement. So it will be on ALT's property. Like I said, we will design it, construct the outlet. Essentially, what will happen after that is the borough will be responsible to just maintain that new outlet following the construction. And that's all they would be responsible for. Anything coming out of it, that would be on ALT and or WLS. So it's just that kind of the process of terminating that easement and what happens next, I think is where the discussion is going to lead from here. And we can come back to that in a second because I think that's going to be the topic. But just to kind of give you an idea, this is that outlet. I believe that this is the culvert outlet, or it's an example of one on site. But essentially, what daylighting does is it's improved flood management. It enhances water quality, it provides ecological value. You're creating a stream, you're creating new habitat, terrestrial and aquatic. You're able to filter anything that's in the water, through that new access to the floodplain. You're going to reduce the rate of runoff, and really it just looks better. So your improved aesthetics. I'm not going to read through all of this. I just kind of provided this from a little bit of information, and I'm sure Michelle can share this if she wants to. We're happy to, you can share it with whomever. This is just a little bit of, how the local economy benefits environmentally and economically. Like I said, improve water quality, flood protection, better wildlife habitat. The site will be long-term protected, so people will be able to enjoy the site in perpetuity, and that's a big one. The local community can enjoy any recreational activities like fishing, bird watching. And if you're a plant enthusiast, you can go out and identify all the plants you can. You can go out and hike or walk your dog. Like that will still be there, and it'll be a healthier ecosystem to partake in. I think I have one more. Yes. So this is the last slide, and then we can talk more about the culvert. But essentially, you guys probably see this. We're having a lot of development in the region. There's a lot of new housing development, the roadways, infrastructures, just blowing up, like new roads, improved roads. So having a healthy protected green space is critical anymore. And those protected green spaces offer the community places to go and to learn about the ecological benefits of natural ecosystems. It helps teach people how to be a steward, how to take care of what you have, these resources, and how you can enjoy them to their fullest. There's just a host of benefits here for the local community. Those are just kind of like the big ones that kind of come to my mind as I'm looking at this slide. So overall, it's a watershed improvement project. We're excited about it. It's gonna, this tied with the AMD treatment facility is just gonna really improve that local ecological ecosystem, and we're excited to continue moving forward with it. So I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. I know that was a whole lot of information, probably information overload. So, I'm happy. Like I said, I can answer any questions or go on or just shut up, whatever makes you happy.
Just as a point of clarification, I think you said it, but I want to make sure I was understanding right. AMD is acid mine drainage, right?
Yes. Yeah. I apologize. Yeah.
I think you said it, but just to make sure everyone.
Thank you so much for the thorough presentation. I know that we had a lot of this information already, and I think it's important to note that this is obviously a benefit to our community. Management and government fully support this, and if anybody has any questions from now to when it's in our next meeting, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, I have one question. I mean, I'm looking at these maps and trying to figure out, it looks like it starts up at Saybrook, am I right?
Yeah,
And where on Saybrook?
there are inlets on Saybrook at the dead end. I guess the southeast portion of Saybrook. It comes out right behind home.
I'm familiar with the homes up there, so then we go down the hill from there.
Mhm,
Yes.
right behind 2706.
Thank you.
So just to summarize, because I know I had a bunch of questions myself and wanted to make sure I had it right in my head, but the current pipe takes all the street water during rain, events and takes it down to the stream. The reason it was piped before was because, the golf course was active and, couldn't have a stream going through the middle of the golf course because the golf carts couldn't drive over it. And ultimately, it's a little over 1,000 feet of pipe that the borough currently owns and we're responsible for maintaining. I know we've talked about in our stormwater stuff, for example, like Marbury, we're talking about $100 and some odd $1,000 repair to keep a line. So this is an opportunity to basically, give up ownership of this pipe that we don't need anymore because the green space has been established. And also it's gonna be better for the natural environment as well. So it's kind of a win-win. If I understood correctly.
You understood correctly.
So Nate and Amber, I sent a revised version of the drainage easement that we've been working on over to Jack Wigan this morning. And hopefully he'll be able to review that and get us any comments back. The way, and for council's, the sake of council, there is a recorded sanitary sewer easement that, I don't know, Demi, we decided it is on that sanitary easement. We think it is somewhere on this property as well.
And that was the confusion initially. The sanitary sewer easement is on Viola, along Viola. So it's on the property, but it's right along Viola. This is the storm easement that comes through here that is being eliminated.
But that's a prescriptive easement. We don't have a recorded explicit recorded easement on that. I think it's a plan right now.
I thought that they did find the storm. No, okay.
The only recorded document is titled sanitary sewer easement.
The one that they were pointing to, yeah, once we identified that one was along Viola.
So the plan would be, if everyone's on board, at least majority of council's on board, we'll have this drainage easement in final form for a vote to approve next Monday.
Great.
And we'll record that drainage easement. And then we will, even though that sanitary easement is on a different part of the property, it is not a storm easement, just to be really clear in order, we're gonna record this one first, and then we're gonna insert the recording information in this one into a termination that we're going to approve in May. So we're gonna terminate the sanitary easement that is not being used at all, right, Dennis? Or is it being used?
There is not a sanitary sewer, or there is not a sanitary sewer here. So if they identified a sanitary sewer easement at this location,
No, it's only the one that you saw that you guys had plotted at Gale. That we found, that turned out it wasn't relevant to this.
yeah, that's along Viola. That has no effect on this project at all.
So is it actually a functional sanitary sewer easement?
Yeah,
Alright, so we're not gonna terminate
we're
that.
not terminating that one.
Okay, so I guess what we're gonna do then is essentially take the existing, even though there's not a recorded easement for the pipe that exists there, at least the ones we know.
On that site, not on
Yeah.
Vila.
On this.
Okay.
side, we're gonna essentially take that prescriptive easement, we're gonna change it into essentially an easement allowing the borough to just discharge onto the property.
Okay.
Eliminate the borough's right to, or obligation, I'd say a better way to look at it, to maintain that existing pipe that's gonna go away. And then so the only question is gonna be, where's the outfall gonna be located, which we sort of have it ballparked. And Dennis and Amber have been working together a little bit on that. And then the question will be what the obligations of the borough, what the obligations of the land trust going forward. And the way it's written right now, the borough's only obligation is essentially get the stormwater to that property line, discharge it, and then the borough can put their obligations. I heard Amber say that, her understanding is that the borough will be responsible for maintaining the outfall. And that's something I guess Dennis and I will have to talk about a little bit, because the last time we talked, I don't know, maybe I misunderstood. That wasn't my understanding. I know that the borough retains the right to go onto the property because of the MS4 program. We need to make sure we can inspect the facilities. The gateway can inspect the facilities, make sure they're operating as they should be. And maybe, so maybe that maintenance obligation makes sense, Dennis, but we can talk about that a little bit between now and next Monday. Then the plan will be to work with Amber's team, their attorney, Dennis, get this just last few tweaks to this drainage easement ready, and then have a clean copy for you to approve next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, both of you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having us. Appreciate the
Thanks
opportunity.
again. Bye.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Thank you. We're gonna, backtrack a little bit and go over to discussion. Item number 3, acknowledging the receipt of the draft meeting minutes from the Monday, March 3rd. Meeting and the council borough workshop meeting and Monday, March 10th, regular council meeting. Any comments or questions about that? All right, and did everybody get a chance / have any questions regarding the reports that were in the agenda? Thank you for your reports. And, to go back to management government committee, we just had a presentation from the water and land solutions. And we're gonna have talk about the possible appointment of Greg to the Churchill Borough Rec Board.
Great addition.
I think so too. Greg,
All for it.
Greg, the fun committee, I feel that.
Chair of the fun committee.
Chair of the fun committee, I feel like Greg has a really good pulse of all of the events.
Yes.
And things that are happening in our community, so to me personally, it makes sense.
Great idea, it's very engaging.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think he'd be a great addition.
I've been on the rec board for about 13 years now, and he's a perfect fit. Everybody loves him already.
What do you think, Greg?
Oh, yeah. I'm
Are we
excited for
embarrassing
it.
you?
No,
No, say more, say more.
Were you being blackmailed into joining?
no,
Yeah.
well, sort of, that's you know, it's hard to say no to Deb. So, no, I had the good fortune to sit in on one of their meetings and, you know, it seems like they're doing some good work and glad to be a part of it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Question? No? Moving on to finance committee,
All right, so as we talked about before,
yes.
a couple of times. Implementing an ordinance for the service in increment retirement incentive for eligible participants. So that was in the CBA.
Yes, it is.
So we've already approved the CBA. We just need- We've already approved the police CBA. We've already gone through the numbers multiple times and we'll provide those again.
Okay.
We have not, with the increase, we will still be overfunded.
Okay.
So I think it's a great thing. I believe it helps our police. It's great, it's a great recruitment tool. And that's why we put it in the CBA. So I see no problem with that at all.
Good.
All right, year-to-date budgets. So currently our revenue is about $319,000. Last year was 609. That's only because taxes haven't come in yet. We're not behind. It's just, please pay your taxes. So we will be fine. That we're not worried about that at all. We just haven't received the real estate tax yet. So
I actually might be seeing those numbers coming in like at the end of next week.
I figure they're gonna start snowballing in, so. Just wait, we'll be fine on that one. Expenditure last year was, this year is $815,000-ish. Last year was 789. That difference is really from the snow. And it's
Minimal.
nothing.
Yeah,
It's
the salt's very.
salt. It was salt,
spread
overtime. You know, we were very
Yeah.
blessed a couple of years for not having any salt or send those
But
guys up.
even then, like that,
It's
those two
also
numbers
expensive.
is so minimal when you
It's,
look at it.
we're on the exact right path.
Yeah.
There's
Great.
no concern at all. So that
Glad
is,
to hear.
that's budget.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much, Andrea, appreciate it. Public safety,
Yeah, so this is routine, but the borough has been involved since 2022 with the DUI task force, the regional DUI task force. So that is with a cooperative agreement with a couple of police departments. I'm gonna name them here. Yeah, Plum, Monroeville, White Oak, North Versailles, Oakmont, Penn Hills, Edgewood, Forest Hills, and Wilkins Township. So this regional DUI task force goes out, basically each municipality will provide an officer to go set up for DUI stops and other stuff. It's hard for a single officer, or even, two departments to work together to try to be effective at that. So they get a bunch of folks together, they'll go out and then they'll have these roving DUI patrols where they specifically are targeting to help improve safety around DUI or doing different stops. That agreement's coming up, so we just need to renew that. And then the best part about that is funded by grant funding, so it doesn't cost us anything when we have our officers go out. So I think Chris Lewandowski is normally the officer that does that because he went for some additional training to do that. And it's been an effective program so far. So basically, we just have to re-sign the paperwork to continue to keep doing this.
Okay,
I would add that, so whenever you do an intergovernmental cooperation agreement, you have to pass a resolution. But the resolution that was passed in, you said 2022, Matt, is that right?
Yep.
There was no termination date to it, so there's really no further action required by council.
Okay.
It's just because of the way they're grant funded, they require updated signature pages. So unless council has concerns, we can just go ahead and continue the program. And allow the chief to sign off on the paperwork and just, kind of keep things going. That's good.
Awesome.
Great.
So if we have an agreement on that today, then I can get them to go ahead.
Yep. Do we have any updates on hiring? Well, there was an oral. task
Yeah,
force.
so they were on to the next part. I think 3 people came for, and passed the testing. And then they were moving into the next stage. So he was setting up the oral interviews and then would be making recommendations to civil service.
Oral interviews are happening this week, I believe.
I think that's correct.
Yeah. So 3 people. That's great. That's awesome. Considering there's been times where we've gotten 0. So
yeah, you say.
I'm looking forward to that and having options. That's great. Really excited for our community for that. Thank you, Matt.
Absolutely.
Moving on to infrastructure, Shirley, it's lots of things to talk about today.
I'm gonna also take some of the stuff. So I'll just talk about the resolution for the PA Small Water Grant. I know I discussed this grant previously. We can apply up to $500,000 for storm sewer projects. So I've been working with Dennis at Gateway to get this application submitted. I'm looking to stay around 500,000 mark. Hopefully. So yeah, that'll be on the agenda to vote, so I can submit that application before the end of April.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
You said before end of April?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Also too, I can talk about the school zone radar. So we did receive an LSA grant for that. It's 120. I believe.
That's good.
The school district also said they would contribute some money as well. I've been working with Gateway pretty extensively just to make sure we have the proper paperwork and permits for that. And it seems like we're in a good place to go ahead and advertise for bids for the radar equipment.
Great. Woo-hoo.
Along.
And then the other 2 items that I'll talk about is discussing the advertisement of paving rejuvenation and road line painting. So we have to have those set out to bid and seeking requests for advertising that.
But we'll be voting on request.
Just request for.
So we're just voting next week for request for advertisement, correct? Yeah, got it. I just did it. Who was gonna talk about the 2025 paving program?
Yeah, I got you there. We received the bids, A. Liberoni came in as the lowest responsible bidder, so we will be discussing that and
Okay.
awarding that at the next.
Voting for it next week.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the Stormwater Authority.
Just real quick, sorry, Greg, on those, so our engineering consultant, Gateway did review all the bids and check to make sure who responsible bidders were. And then they did recommend moving forward with A. Liberoni
Okay.
as the lowest responsible bidder. And Liberoni has worked in the borough previously 2 years ago, I think.
No, I think it was at least 3, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and,
Yeah, I've heard that.
yeah, we
Yeah,
had
we've done before.
six bidders on the project.
Oh, wow.
So,
Yeah,
good
it's
number
good
of
to get.
bidders.
Wow,
number of
that's
bidders.
great.
And A. Liberoni was low bid at base bid of right around $77,000. And if you remember, we have to add alternates
Yeah.
for patchwork as well, and that total cost would be $92,222.58.
Just one thing to know, the council on that, just briefly, the one for fuel, we won't be able to use our liquid fuels for that. It's a discounting.
Yeah, the road, yeah, county road.
So that's 7,300. Probably. I mean, that's the liquid bidding, but it could come in lower.
And Stormwater Authority. I know we've talked about this at great length. We're finally ready and prepared to move it on to the next step, but
Okay.
just wanted to go over a couple talking points for anyone who's a little hazy on it and for those of us playing the home game. So what is stormwater? Stormwater is water from precipitation that flows across the ground on the pavement when it rains or ice and snow melt, and then finds its way into our storm. It's an issue because I'm sorry. I tried to chop everything up, but okay. Right now, the borough's only revenue comes from taxes, obviously. Establishing a stormwater authority would allow us to tap into some more money that would free up other projects in the community. Paving, traffic, calming practices, just to name a few. It's an investment in the future. It's an investment in our community. It's not just another bill. It's something that we could really hang our hat on to free up the general fund to do those other projects. The fee is called an ERU, the equivalent residential unit. That's what basically measures what the fee will be for the individual property. Most of the residential properties in the borough will only be one ERU. And then tax exempt properties will also have to pay their fair share. So this isn't just the taxpayers having to shoulder this. This is an opportunity for us to make money from these entities that don't pay taxes.
I think that's a very important, sorry to cut you off, a very important note
Right.
to say that I don't think people realize is tax exempt places in our borough, are tax exempt, right? So we're not getting that money. With this, they would have to pay for it stuff. It would,
Yeah, and it's important to note they're using this,
They're
right?
using
They're
it, yeah.
producing stormwater,
Right.
they're using the borough infrastructure, just like all our residents are.
Right.
But right now, if we have to do more work, we can only raise taxes and that goes on the residents' shoulders only.
yes, right.
Right.
This is based off impervious land too. This is based off like paved, like parking lots. And, and as you know, your driveway is not the size of a parking lot, so hence like one, as you said, Greg, versus I'll pick on a church or something like that.
Big parking lot.
Big parking lots, yes. So they're using our resources to your point, and we still always have to shoulder the burden without getting any money.
And just to give you an idea, tax exempt properties account for 475 of the 1,292 non-residential ERUs.
Almost half.
So,
Right.
Mhm.
So it's a good thing.
Mhm.
so the next step would be, council develop an ordinance and focus on starting to educate people.
Hi, this is Cheryl. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Thank you, Greg, so much. It was a good presentation. We had a pretty good infrastructure meeting. We've been talking about this since I've been on council for a while and getting an understanding and making sure that all residents have an understanding that this is implementing a stormwater utility fund. It's basically not creating another tax. I don't know if that's a good way of saying we're raising the tax. We're not raising taxes. We're creating a fund. We have to remember that Churchill Borough at this time does not have any revenue. So when we look back, when we look at, and I asked Michelle and some of the other office managers, how and where does this money come from? If we don't do this, we're going to be somewhere else 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. And so by us taking this and moving forward with it, I believe we will be able to create uh, an authority that this goes into. We would come up with more information later. But one thing is, everybody did say that it's implementing, or everybody, the businesses in the borough, even though we don't have any. But as you were saying, we're talking about everybody's parking lot, all the residents, and those that do not pay current taxes at this time. So we're not raising taxes. It's the burden is on the taxpayers. We're going after exempt properties as well. But we have to remember that it's a mandate. And we could do a couple of things. We can ignore it and don't create the authority. And then the borough would face heavy fines and penalties from the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. We could take on litigation fees. But even after all of that, we will still need to maintain our infrastructure. One thing we've got to realize is Churchill is an old borough. Our infrastructure needs repairing, our infrastructure needs updating. We have to look at those things. And I believe what we're putting into place as far as the ERUs and everyone's, as we begin to educate the businesses in the borough that will now be coming under this, we have to also educate the residents so that they can understand this. If we look at a fee, so what would that look like? Every resident would pay, I'm just going to give an estimate, of about $9 a month. We've done some of the math. We looked at different structures of how this could be. And if we use it $9 a month, then we would come up with $100 a year. And it would not be due around the same time that our yearly taxes are due, so that we could make sure that this is a separate fund. It's a fund being set up to take care of something that the borough has now had to deal with. So Churchill is not the only borough or a community that has a stormwater fee. We've looked at other communities. We've looked at how they've set theirs up. We've looked at their authorities. We looked at what fees they're collecting. We also looked at how they're collecting them. Do they collect them on a yearly basis? Do they collect them every other month or 2 to 3 times a year? So those are things that we would have to talk about in the committee to see what would be best that the residents that we can handle. Again, the part that I like about it is the tax exempt properties that are going to be involved. We also have a timeline set up that we would be working with residents, business owners that would now have to fall in line with this so that everybody can fall in line with what we need to do. So, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of work on the infrastructures committee, on our shoulders. Greg, Matt, thank you all so much for pulling the weight. Michelle, thank you for all the work that you've done. Denny, thank you for the time that you guys put into this. You've done the presentations to the council at large. And we've got just so much information on this, and we'd like to take this information to take it to the next step to see the duality, if it's doable, and how we would do this. So we're asking to put this on the table for us to take it to the next step. Any other comments, Matt or Greg? I know there's a lot of comments, a lot of questions, and we're ready to answer whatever you have. Throw it at us. We're ready for you.
I'll just say, Shirley, I really appreciate what you said and how you summarized that. And it's always important to note that, we do have an option to do nothing. We can kind of turn a blind eye to things, but we've seen how that works out. Before, long before I was on council, there was a time where they didn't invest in some of our infrastructure, and that leads to issues like the garbage truck falling through the street into a stormwater pipe that is completely deteriorated, right? And being stuck in the middle of the street. So
And it costs us 10 times more.
right.
Mhm.
So
Right.
so the do nothing, it's always important to note that is an option, but and why we don't think it's the right thing to do. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Thank you, Matt.
it is, there's a lot of details involved in this, obviously. And more conversations to be had. I'm very excited. I think this is something that our community needs. We just need to be able to educate our residents, provide as much information as possible. And right, there's no right way of doing this. There's not a specific formula that we must follow. We really are able to do what works for our residents, what works for our community. And that's something that we're gonna be really holding on to and using that as a lens as we move forward with the plan for this. All right. Thank you all. Communication committee.
We got our newsletters in the mail. I
Yeah.
got mine on Saturday. With you.
Saturday.
Yeah. If
I
you
didn't
didn't,
open it until.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
me either.
Yes, thanks to everyone who helped put that together. If you did not get yours in a few days, something went wrong, call our office. We'll figure out a way to get to it, or you can always just pop in. We have plenty extra here. But a few dates to put on your calendar. I know I've mentioned it before, and you can see it in the newsletter. We have QR codes now. Yay,
Yay.
Ashley, yay. The annual Easter Bunny Parade, that is Saturday, April 19th. There is a QR code that will give you the list of all the streets. It starts at 10. We go through the neighborhood. We can't get to every street. We try our best. So if your street's not on it, find where another street is, and you can always bring your child over across the street or what have you. Know that these times are estimates. Sometimes, the mayor and the Easter Bunny will start talking and we get a little behind, and then, we have to try to catch up. But that is Saturday, April 19th, 10 a.m. to 1:15, 1:30. Also, our annual community day, if you look in the newsletter on page 6, we also have a QR code. Yes, so for the dinner. Did I say community day?
Yes.
I meant community dinner. Right. And that's the same place as it was last year. Highly successful. Everybody loved it. The Nunzios up in Monroeville, and QR code. You can just sign up, pay for it right there. It's great. Same great buffet. Everything's included for your $40 per person. And so we're hoping people will start to sign up now. Last year we have to cap it at 90, and we sadly had to turn some people away, for fire hazard reasons. So I know there are people who are disappointed, so don't wait till the last minute because you may get shut out. So that's right. It does fill up quickly. So this is the time. And what else? We had one more. No, I think that was probably it. So the bunny parade, and that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Climate action.
Climate action.
Believe.
If you look in the newsletter, we talked about the composting workshop. That is taking place April 23rd, which is the day after Earth Day, which is Wednesday, and that's from 6 to 7:30 in our chambers, right? We're doing it in the chambers, right? Right. And it's free, open to the public. If you're interested in composting, there's a QR code. We just want you to sign up. That's all.
I think we have like 35 already.
35, okay.
Oh, wow.
Good,
Great.
that's
Okay.
good.
Good job, Churchill.
That's amazing.
Right. And we have some real experts there who can help you do the best you can with composting. And so it's a free workshop. We just want to help everybody out. And there's also compost bins for sale for $50, which is a discount. So get your compost bins if you like, not necessary, but the workshop is free. And that again is on April 23rd, 6 to 7:30 in the chamber. That's all I have.
Awesome. Brooke's not on.
No.
Okay. So we won't talk about education or school district. I do know that the new superintendent did start. And I know that we have hands-on meeting with him and speaking to him regarding our residents in our community, so that will be happening soon. Dear committee.
I was gonna say, last time I drove by Schaefer School, I noticed, I think almost all the metal's out of there, and they've got most of the fill, so they should be working to finish that site up soon.
Awesome, thank you. Dear committee.
So we had our first committee meeting, last week, and, just kind of making long-term plans. We were gonna try to have a community workshop in May, June, but it kind of, everyone agreed that it was just a little too soon. And so we put that off. We're actually going to have September 25th will be our first ever public deer workshop. We're gonna do that at Black Ridge, and yeah, we're hoping to get some speakers and stuff, get some really great information to help the residents with the progressing deer problem.
Great. Thank you.
And they'll be birthing soon.
Mhm.
It's fun, it's fun season.
Yep, sure will be.
All right, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I don't have a lot today. Just want to announce that the road is gonna have its annual golf outing. May 27th. There's a little increase in the fee this year, but not something that's gonna be overwhelming.
It's a very slow.
Very small, it's big, and it's a big event. I mean, it fills up fast. We can just take 140 golfers out there, so mark your calendars for that. I just came across the I think it was on our Facebook page that the treasurer is gonna be visiting Churchill Borough, setting up shop. I would assume next door to help residents out with some pretty good information. I saw that Homestead Act, and I can't believe there are people out there
Yeah,
not taking advantage of the Homestead Act.
yes.
They save a lot of money on the taxes,
Mhm.
sign up for that, and some other things, like questions about your dog license and fishing license, whatever else. I think it was from 2 to 4,
10,
10,
10 to 2.
10 to 2.
Council can do that, so we'll have the door open, and you can just go in.
So I thank the treasurer for
Yeah, so one of the treasurer's things is to, it's hard for residents to get downtown. They have to pay for parking, traffic, getting through a tunnel. It's a nightmare. So bringing the services to the residents into the area, so that they don't have to travel far. I think that's the biggest thing. So yeah, it's like dog license, hunting, fishing, have any questions, real estate questions, getting you signed up for homestead. They can check if you do have an application, they can check. So, please feel free to come out.
And maybe if if the residents can't make it, maybe we can tape a little bit of it. She could talk about some of the things that, people would want to know. Go check for the homestead.
Yeah, we have a lot of like
Then we can throw it
FAQs.
online.
We have a lot of FAQs and there's some documents that will be left behind for residents to pick up. So, yeah.
Looking forward to that.
No, we won't, the borough won't be collecting taxes. Like here, so the
No,
tax.
no.
collector. Just to make.
Yes.
Yeah. We did have a couple calls about that today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It should be next door the same day, right? Is Danielle gonna be here that same day?
Later in the day.
Okay.
Later in there. The treasurer herself won't be there, but, the outreach team will be here to answer any questions. And provide services. Yeah.
I was,
I'm sorry, just one other little thing. Ken Balky, we've been talking, Arbor Day's coming up. April 27th, I think it is. And for part of those activities, I don't know whether we're gonna do it in the same day or not, but we wanted to plant a tree out front. Or originally was gonna be both Spring Park. Kind of difficult to get down there, people's gas is working on that road, so we're kind of leaning toward putting it somewhere on the property. I talked to Ralph, there's a tree that was taken down in front of the building out here. We can get those roots out of there, I tried the other day. They will come up, but not easily. So if we can get that clear up for, plant a tree that day, and it would be, another tree in honor of, Joan Button.
Oh,
For that day. So we're working on that.
just want to thank you that the Rotary, they gave $1,000 to the police fest. Not what you mentioned about.
We didn't. That's okay. I mentioned it again.
Good to mention twice.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Is it on our newsletter? too?
Yes.
Yes.
And then just another shout out to our intern, Jacob.
Oh,
Yeah, he's with us
Jacob.
For a while, but his internship will be ending at the end of this week. So just want to thank Jacob for all his time and dedication to the borough and residents. He really did help a lot, especially with the social media. aspect of things. So thank you, Jacob.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you, Joe.
I bet he's watching at home right now.
No, but he'll watch it later.
Yes, he will.
He wrote a very nice note in the newsletter.
Yes, he
It was very
did.
nice. Yeah.
It was really nice. Yeah. Anything else?
Two things.
Yeah, go for it.
Also in the newsletter, I failed to mention, if you want to get more involved and find out more information, yeah, you know, we have Savvy Citizen and we have Facebook and all the social media, but we like to collect emails because that's a good way to get a message out quickly. There is another QR code in the newsletter if you want to sign your email up. And so we can put you as part of, and we won't bombard you with emails hardly at all, like a reminder of a community day, or if something drastic happens on the street or what have you. Like when my power was out for 12 hours yesterday.
Oh, my gosh.
So
You were
something like
wonderful.
that. But yeah, so
Remember, even like, we have the one resident that did the cookie, event.
yes, right. So if you want to include your email in our email blast that we
Signed up for it already.
Okay, there you go. Great. And also, Matt started this with having sessions in the chambers where you can come in and talk to the council people. If you have any questions or what have you, and Andrea and I will be doing one on Thursday, April 24th. From 12 noon to 2. So, if you're around during the day, please stop by. That's a Thursday, April 24th.
And I'll piggyback off of that, Deb, and say in the newsletter, we also have some planned times for May and June.
Right.
So
Never know who
keep,
that will
yeah,
be.
keep your
Right.
eyes open and put
Right.
it on your schedule if you're interested.
And
And
other
I'll,
council members may show up.
yep, and I just wanted to
No
mention
more than
too.
3.
No more than 3, of course.
In the newsletter, so we were speaking about paying taxes. So, if anyone does want to pay their taxes in person, I see the tax collector noted. She'll be up at the Yagle Room on a number of days and times and available to do that in person as well. So again, that's in the newsletter, either, in your mail or on the website as well.
I think it's great we're having, council members come up. I did, Matt and I did an evening one a few weeks ago. So it's nice that seems like we all have a good rotation of being able to be present for residents at
Right.
all times. Because I know sometimes residents work during the day, so they're not able to come in the day. So Matt and I did an evening one. So having a good rotation, I think that's great. So
Right.
thank you all for participating in that.
Yeah.
And for the residents for coming out.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that it? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.